can look fantastic somewhere in the mid-150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake Paul.
In shocking, previously unseen footage, Gervonta "Tank" Davis reportedly drops a heavyweight sparring partner while preparing for his upcoming clash with Jake Paul. The clip highlights Tank's signature power and impeccable timing, as a single brutal left hand ends the session instantly. Fans are hailing it as proof that Davis's speed and precision remain unmatched, even against opponents much larger than him. Showbiz The Adult predicts that Gervonta "Tank" Davis will come in around 154 pounds for his fight against Jake Paul, dismissing claims that Tank will be too small to compete. According to Showbiz, Davis has previously walked around at that weight, so it won't be unfamiliar territory. He even notes that Tank has experience training at 160 pounds, making the jump less drastic than critics assume. Showbiz emphasizes that Davis has spent years sparring with much larger opponents, honing his timing, reflexes, and counterpunching against heavier hitters. That experience, combined with his explosive power and high fight IQ, gives him a clear edge in this matchup. Confident in his prediction, Showbiz boldly declares that Jake Paul's size advantage won't matter. Once Tank lands clean, it's over. He insists that Gervonta Davis will knock out Jake Paul with ease.
150s, dare I say, close to 160 against Jake Paul. And dare I say it, I think that's the right thing for him to do. Why? I've been saying this. Number one, fighters need to start fighting closer to their walk-around weight. They're just healthier that way. They're just better and healthier that way. I mean, I know it's probably surprising them too. Like, that was the best I've seen Terrence Bud Crawford. Lamont Roach, he's fighting Pitbull at 140, coming from 130 and a pissed up at 135. You have Shakur Stevenson talking about fighting Teofimo Lopez. They're very close to making that fight at 140. And I think all of them would look their best there, especially Roach, where he ain't knocking nobody out down there at 130. But I bet you he'll be swatting far more at 140. Gervonta "Tank" Davis, I think, just like the others, fighting closer to your walk-around weight is just going to be one of the better performances for Gervonta "Tank" Davis. He's going to learn a lot about his body. He's going to learn a lot about himself and where he should campaign moving forward. Maybe even meeting Roach in that rematch at 140 himself. Also, another reason why I think it behooves him to come in knocking at 160 pounds is because of Jake Paul. It's not like Tank is going to dodge every punch Jake Paul throws, all right? Some of those going to land, and more than likely it's going to land on his guard. Tank is going to have his guard up. We need for him to be solid enough, his foundation and his base solid enough, so when Jake Paul hits him with those shots, he doesn't go flying around the ring.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis has reportedly been sparring with much bigger opponents ahead of his showdown with Jake Paul, but this isn't new for him. From the very start of his career, Davis has challenged himself against heavier fighters, using those sessions to sharpen his timing, precision, and ring awareness. With his explosive power and elite fight IQ, handling larger opponents has never been a problem, and it's clear he's ready for whatever Jake Paul brings. Years of disciplined training. His footwork is light, yet every movement exudes authority. Observers can see that each strike against the heavy bag is part of a calculated rhythm. The intensity in his eyes, combined with the seamless coordination of speed and power, shows just how serious Davis is about this fight. Experts across the boxing world note that his conditioning looks better than it has in years, describing him as ready for war. The combination of power, timing, and ring control displayed during camp has reignited conversations about just how dangerous Tank remains at the elite level. One of the biggest talking points leading up to this clash is the weight difference. Some believe Jake Paul's natural size gives him an advantage, but others argue that Tank Davis's skill will neutralize any physical gap. Fans question whether the size difference could pose problems for Davis. Yet those who followed his career know he's often sparred and fought heavier opponents. Supporters insist boxing isn't decided by weight alone. It's about timing, discipline, and technical intelligence. Tank's defensive mastery and counterpunching make him a puzzle for anyone, regardless of size. His team remains confident that his experience handling pressure and movement will allow him to turn Jake's size against him. For Davis, this fight isn't about proving strength. It's about proving skill.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional record.
A hint of bitterness in Roach's tone, suggesting his frustration stems less from genuine conflict and more from equation. Rivalries become emotional. For Davis, however, these distractions don't matter. He stays quiet, focused, and lets his training do the talking.
The question is direct. Reportedly, Tank's going to make $40 million around there to fight Jake Paul. Would you do the same thing if you were in this situation? And he's like, actually, this is what I explained before. You're beating around the bush. It's really a yes or no. I would do it. I would take the 40 mil, or I wouldn't take the 40 mil. But let's listen to this long, drawn-out explanation.
There's about $40 million that he's going to get paid. If you were in his shoes, wouldn't you do the same thing?
See, now, this is something that I explain and express, and I hope everybody gets. That opportunity is an opportunity that you probably cannot pass up. But it's about how you handle it. It's about how you go about it. A lot of people don't know that he actually exercised his rights to the rematch, so that contractually binds us to a fight. You cannot breach that unless you do what you have to do to handle the business, to be like, okay, well, we mutually agree to let you move on and or swindle around and fight Jake Paul for this money. If you think I'm going to sit back by the wayside and sit there and be like, well, even though I'm contracted to fight this guy for this amount of money on this certain day, I'm just going to sit here and be cool with, oh, he might not ever fight me, and he's going to go fight and get paid and get this money, and I'm not supposed to get...
Boxing experts have repeatedly emphasized that Gervonta "Tank" Davis doesn't get enough credit for his accomplishments. They point out that his opponents often rise in recognition after facing him, showing the immense influence he holds in the sport. Fighters who were once under the radar become known worldwide simply by sharing the ring with Tank. This pattern highlights Davis's star power and his ability to elevate anyone he faces. Critics who claim he hasn't faced strong competition are reminded that his presence alone can make or break a career. Analysts agree that his victories don't just define him as a knockout artist. They establish him as a fighter who carries the weight of the entire boxing spotlight.
In the boxing world, about Gervonta Davis and Gervonta Davis, his resume, who he's going to fight, the competitors that he's going to fight, And every once in a while, something happens that proves that Gervonta Davis is the face of that. If he's not the face of boxing because people just don't want him to be that, man, he is real close to it, because other than Canelo Alvarez, and even consider Canelo Alvarez included, nobody in boxing has divisions circulating around him like Gervonta Davis does. And that was proved during this Lamont Roach versus Pitbull Cruz announcement for their pay-per-view. Just think about this. Gervonta Davis, they always say that Gervonta Davis has a poor resume, but yet Gervonta Davis, guys that fight Gervonta Davis, lose to Gervonta Davis, or get a draw to Gervonta Davis, can fight one another and make an anticipated pay-per-view between the two of them. Because that fight with Pitbull Cruz is a very, very popular fighter with Mexican fight fans. Lamont Roach got a lot of name exposure with black fight fans and Mexican fight fans and white fight fans, all with his draw that he got against Gervonta Davis. Now they believe that this is going to be able to be a profitable endeavor for a pay-per-view. Now, let me also tell you that Rolly Romero, who was somebody else that Gervonta Davis fought in the past, will be on a pay-per-view that's going to be successful, most likely, when he defends his WBC.
Stephen Fulton stepped forward to defend Gervonta Tank Davis from ongoing accusations that he fights solely for money. Fulton emphasized that every boxer has the right to secure their future after years of risking their body and health inside the ring. He explained that Tank has already achieved greatness, earning world titles and delivering memorable performances, so taking high-profile fights now is entirely justified. According to Fulton, fighters deserve to balance legacy with financial security, especially given how quickly a career can end. His comments reminded fans that Tank has earned the right to choose fights that benefit him both professionally and personally. Support from a respected boxer like Fulton reinforces the idea that Davis's decisions come from wisdom, not greed.
Anybody in that position would have taken that fight, especially with the payout. It's like, that's a no-brainer, but I understand. I still feel for Lamont. That's my boy. Like, he still want his rematch. But then when you be realistic about the money situation, you're changing your whole family life. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's people hate on it because they're not in that position. I'm not saying Lamont. I'm speaking like other boxers would be like, oh, he this for that. He's this. It's a side quest. It's a little side quest. Because what happened when Floyd and all these guys went on WWE, but then they get right back to what they're doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's another little side quest. I'm all for people just getting their money. So get the best, make the most that you can out of this entertainment world. Because, I mean, I don't know. I would have done it as far as the money aspect, because none of us would deny that money. They talking like they would. None of them would deny that.
Whose side am I on? Tank Davis or Jake Paul? From the analysis, it seems clear that Gervonta Tank Davis isn't going to put himself in a position where Jake Paul can truly hurt him. His experience, power, timing, and ring IQ give him an undeniable edge, and that reality makes him the favorite in most scenarios. That's it for today's breakdown. Stay tuned for more updates, and until next time, keep your eyes on the ring.